So, announcing your retirement, we all heard the news yesterday. I suppose tell us how you're feeling about it all after everything's said and done.
Yeah, it's still hard to actually find the words for how I'm feeling, to be honest. It's the first time in my whole career or life, for that regard, that I felt like I almost don't have the words to explain the feelings that come with this. And it's bittersweet in so many ways. And the reason I would say that is because it's one of the most enjoyable seasons I've ever had. Physically, I feel great. I'm playing with an awesome group of girls for a great coach at a great club, and it feels like a funny time to pull the pin, but at the same time, I'm so grateful that I get the chance to finish on what feels like such a high, and hopefully we can walk away with something big at the end.
Why did you feel now was the right time to step away from football?
I don't think there's ever one factor that plays into a decision like this. For me, my life away from football has changed a lot in the last 12 months. Work-wise, I've had a massive opportunity, and I've started a new job, which is something that requires a bigger pool of my time. And I got married late last year, and I feel like I've always prioritised football over every part of my life, and my priorities have changed since that moment, and it's something that's important to me, that I feel like I can actually give back to the relationship and my family in a way that I haven't been able to for a long time. And I've always been an all or nothing person, and I feel like one of my biggest strengths has been that I'll show up and give everything I have, and the day that I can no longer do that, it's not enough. And for me, I feel like I can't give that 100% in the way that I used to be able to. So when I lose that, that's for me my time. And physically, I've had a long list of injuries, but it's funny because I'm probably in better form and feeling better than I have been in a long time. But at the same time, that list is still there, and for me, it's now a good time to feel like I am in good condition and can finish on my terms.
Football's taken you to all the corners of the globe, and it's allowed you to represent your country as well at the highest level. What are some of your, I'm sure you've had best memories in representing the country, but what are some of your memories that you say to yourself, wow, I could really not do that without football being part of my life?
Oh, the list is endless. I feel like I've got a lifetime full of memories from this career, and it's a unique career path to be on, and it's one that it's not always as glamorous as people think when you're traveling all over the world, but at the same time, I look back and think I never would have been to some of those places or had the opportunities had it not been for football. And the first one that comes to mind is I probably never would have been to Iceland, for example. It's, like, what a unique country. And I was climbing volcanoes on a day off. Like, it's pretty incredible that they're the kind of places football has taken me to. But, I've been fortunate enough, like you said, to play for the national team. It was a childhood dream of mine. And while I always felt like I wanted more consistency within that space, I can still reflect now and feel like I did achieve what I set out to, even if it was in lesser games than planned. And that took me all over the world as well. And it's something I'll forever be grateful for. I'll never forget making my debut against Hong Kong as a young player. I was so inexperienced, but that gave me an opportunity and set me up for realising what I really wanted to do in life, and that was to be a professional footballer. And I've been so lucky that I've been able to do that for the last 13 years.
In the last couple of years as well, you've really taken on a mentor sort of role with a lot of the younger players and a lot of the players coming up through the ranks and moving into the Matildas as well. How has that been for you? You're sort of a natural born leader. Do you get some of the joy of working with some of the big players, big names, and being part of their journeys as well?
Oh, it fills my cup. That's when I reflect upon the most recent years in my career, that's what is a highlight for me. And I think it was something that as I got older, I realised I have a lot to give back, and it was really important to me that I gave as much as I could to the next generation coming through. And I think when I reflect back to when I was younger, things were very different. We're talking over 10 years ago. The gap between young and old was quite distant, and it was important to me to close that gap. And I think you see young players succeed when they're in a safe space and they feel comfortable. And it's hard sometimes to provide that, because team sport is a unique workplace in the sense that you've got such a wide ranging span of ages and experiences. But for me it became a priority to make sure that I could close that gap. And coming to Victory this year, we've got such an incredible leadership group, and it's one that I feel really fortunate to have been part of, because it's again taught me so much more. And I think the space that we create for the young players here, it gives them the opportunity to perform on the pitch, and that's why we have such a well-rounded group.
And my final question, I suppose, before I give you back up, Jeff. People you want to thank on your journey. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm sure we obviously had this chat over the phone as well, but I'm sure you've had time to think about it as well.
It's funny, I've played this question over in my mind countless times, and the list seems to get longer every time. So I think for me, you always have to start with your family. They're the ones that pave the way for you, and without a home life that supports you getting this far, it can be very difficult. So my parents drove me an hour almost every day to training as a kid, balancing their work. And I have a brother who also had needs, and it was always made doable because of them. When you're young, you can't drive, you rely on them solely, and they always made it work. And for me now, later in life, I'm so fortunate to have a supportive partner that's encouraged me to keep going. And for our whole relationship, for the first 4 years, I spent 6 months in another country, and that was never a problem. It was always encouraged. And so without that kind of support, you can't do those things. And going back to the start, there's two coaches that will always be held close to me forever, and that was Kevin McCormack and Chris Goddard in Adelaide. They set the tone for me, and they were the ones that made me realise my potential. And it's coaches like that if you don't have, and you don't have that belief instilled in you, that these opportunities don't always come about. And I look more recently, and I've had incredible support from New Balance is a family to me. And a lot of players have sponsorships and partners throughout their career, but I got brought in by another family, and without them, my path would have looked very different. It's funny how relationships can go beyond just a pair of boots and sneakers. I've got lifelong friends that have come out of that relationship, and not most important, but the one I'd always finish on is teammates. We're a team sport. You don't make it without them, and I have an endless list of incredible teammates that I've had throughout my career, and a standout that I have to mention is Bubs, because even saying her name that hits me, but she's been through challenges, faced adversity with me, had my back in the hardest times, and she's always come out the other side with me. And I've been one of many fortunate players to share a locker room with her, and it's rare that you have friends like that in life, and she's someone that when I finish playing, I'll hold close to me forever. And I will add one last one again. It's taken me 13 years to play for someone like Jeff. And it's funny how, a coach is one person within such a big group, within players, staff, but the difference it makes wanting to play for someone like him is, I can't tell you what that's done for my last year. He tried a number of times to get me over here, and he still wanted me when I was going through a tough time. And what he's shown me and the belief he's instilled in me, even as a senior player, it makes you realise that you still need that at my age. So I'm really grateful for him.